Lall on the National Outlook. Thank you for joining us, wherever you may be. There's a news item from Kaieteur on Tuesday. If we don't invest in our own, we will see a takeover by foreigners. In green, CGX head. In green. Now, we've heard this before, haven't we? As a matter of fact, we've started to see it. Here's the story. This oil, wherever there is oil and there is gold, you know what happens, right? There's an influx of people. Right now, we're having mainly white-collar people. They come by planes, they are ferried by helicopter to the rigs and back. They stay in the fancy hotels, and they essentially operate outside of the radar of everyday Guyanese. But the foreigners are going to come, the foreigners will be here. They'll be the management consultants, they'll be the financial advisors, they'll be the scientists, they'll be the geologists, they'll be the petroleum engineers and all of the forensic auditors, all these guys who know, who have been around these things in Houston and in the Middle East and in some parts of Latin America. We have our own neighboring CARICOM member, Trinidad, who's got a ton of expertise because of its decades in the oil business. But what Professor Narayan is saying is that unless we have a skilled workforce, then we risk the citizenry giving away the lion's share of its wealth to be used and managed by foreigners. He's right. There's nothing to dispute there. Unless we get our act together, unless there's a comprehensive program to train our people, to educate our people, to equip our people so that they are ready to put their hands on the steering wheel and to drive us, to drive the oil business, then we're in trouble. The oil might as well not be there, because for all that it will matter to us. Here's the story. We have got to invest, and we've got to invest now. And we can't invest by a trickle. It's got to be a cascade. It's got to be a torrent instead of a trickle. Now, at the top, we're going to have all these people coming in, the Wall Street people who I know very well. We're going to have the Exxon people. And we're going to have associated people. That's one side of the thing. So what is left for us? We are going to have to fight for our share of this thing. The jobs, the contracts, the downstream effects. Now, from the bottom up, there is another story that we rarely talk about. But this part is visible to us. This part is visible to us, and it ties in with what Professor Narayan is talking about. Maybe not in terms of scale, but certainly in terms of the effect. Wherever there is oil, wherever there's opportunity, wherever there are jobs, people will flock. They will flock. Our borders are open. Our neighbor, Venezuela, is hurting. So already I see them, lots of Venezuelans, lots of Brazilians who are here. I understand they're in the tens of thousands. Quite frankly, nobody knows how many of them are here. And because of the pandemic in Brazil, there's a lot of border crossings, and our borders are porous. So here's the story. The low-level jobs, the truck drivers and the porters and the laborers, or whatever you call them now, despite the language barrier, those jobs, those situations will be filled by the foreigners who come. And they don't have to come from America or Jamaica. They'll come from Venezuela, and they'll come from Brazil, and they'll come from Trinidad. Okay? That's a function, that's a feature of our borders. So here's the story. If we've got 30,000 of them here, or 40 or 50, when this oil really starts to flow, when we put our arms around things and there's some stability here, hopefully there is some stability, then here's this. We're going to have people here in droves You're going to have the invisible people that Professor Narayan talks about, that comes in the cars and the helicopters and the planes and in the boardrooms. Then we're going to have the people that you and I see in the street, in the trucks, in the stores. They may not be in the offices because of the language barrier. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that when taken together, that all, before we know it, we will be a minority in this country. By my calculation, don't ask me, there's nothing scientific about it. By my calculation, we could be a minority in this country in 5 years. If there really is an influx, if there really is a cascade over those borders, we're in trouble. Oh, are we going to be able to stop? How many people are we going to be able to stop? That's the question. That's what we're facing. Our younger folks, many of whom are independent contractors, electrical guys, plumbers, mechanics, you can't get them before 10 o'clock. How do you build a country? By getting up and stirring at 10 o'clock, having a cigarette at 10:15, deciding what you're going to do at 10:30, and then get going at 11. The day is done. The day is done, folks. So unless we get in our mindset that this is our product, this is our riches, this is our wealth, and we have to tap into it, and we should be in front of the line, and as many of us, then we are going to come up short. And as Professor Narayan said, the CGX said, the IAST said, hey, listen, we have got to invest, and invest heavily, and invest now in people, in education, in training, and in the right kinds of training, in the right fields, so that we will get returns on this, so that our people will be involved in the process, and they will reap the rewards, and that will spread down. That will spread down to the rest of society. So I think there's so many things, like I said, that have to be dealt with. Where to start? I know we've got to start with the economy, and the pandemic, and oil is always right there. So let's roll up our sleeves, let's commit to do our part, and let's get going. Until the next time, this is Gabriel Lall on the National Outlook, wishing you the best.